asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with Now looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts.
Hey y'all, I'm Lucy, paperglitterglue.com, and I'm so happy to be here. And as you probably know, I make lots of houses. So wait, let me find my project. Oh, let me turn around. It's a pop-up card, so it's much more effective on video than in, see. So it's a little woodland house with a wood grain and kind of a thatched roof. And I thought about it. I think I put some leaves in the pattern. I was like, I should have made a leafy roof. So I should have just glued a bunch of leaves on the roof. But anyway, I think Erin told me, Erin, who's kind of helping coordinate the videos, told me that there was one question already, and it was what kind of cardstock. And for the most part, I use 65-pound cardstock. But let me see. I don't know if you can tell. The fence gets a little floppy. And when I use 110-pound cardstock for the fence, it worked much better. But either works. 110 or 65 works fine. And what Cricut setting do I, to cut out the grass in the fence? I pretty much always use Cricut, cardstock for intricate settings. And then I always click more. And then I almost always run it through twice just to make sure it cuts. It just seems simpler that way. So Cricut for cardstock for intricate cuts, more for this for the pressure, and then cut it twice. So yes, because it's really, you get kind of sad when you're like, oh, I didn't cut all the way through and you've taken it off the mat. So I leave it on the mat, and then my Cricut's behind me. And then I kind of check and make sure the bottom that it lifts up. And if it doesn't, I just hit the blinking go button, the Cricut C button, just to make sure it cuts all the way through. And I've known Brandy for several years. So I think that's why she asked me to be in the card making summit, even though I don't make many cards. Houses are my things. This is the Little Red Schoolhouse, and I decided it needed a crayon fence. So that's what I'm doing for that was one of my latest projects. But I have it as a card too in my book. Wait, let me get the right one. I have this pop-up card with the Little Red Schoolhouse, and I have a simpler version, just a little, what do you call it, easel card for the Little Red Schoolhouse. And that's in my book, Playful Pop-Up Houses. And it's basically 5 main designs, but I've got variations. So not only do I have the Little Red Schoolhouse, let me see what else I have. Oh, here's one. This is another pop-up house in my book. This is a little brick house. Isn't it cute? It's got a brick facade. It sticks a little bit, so I just close it like that. Let me see another one. Oh, yeah, another simple. See, this is an easel card. So they're just all these different house variations in my book, if you like that. And, oh, wait, I think, let me find my favorite. I've got it here. Yeah, this is my favorite pop-up in my book. Little cottage. It's very similar to the woodland house, but I made siding, and I made it so you could do it for either a Halloween house, or you could do it for a plain house, decorate it with Christmas colors. So those are the things that I'm doing. Let me see what else. People often, is this card too advanced for a pure beginner with the Cricut? No, I don't think so. It's not really that hard on the Cricut. You have to be able to draw. So I use either a Cricut Maker or a Cricut Explore, and you put in the pen, so you draw the design on it, or you can leave the design off. You don't have to do the design. And then cutting it out, it's not that hard. You have to have a way to score. So I use the scoring stylus rather than the wheel. And I do that because when you use the scoring wheel, you have to switch out the blade and the wheel. So I just use the scoring stylus, like you can see behind me, because you can have the blade and the scoring stylus in the same. It does not score as deeply, but you still see the lines and you know where to fold it. So in terms of using the Cricut, it's not hard. The only thing hard is gluing the house down. Let me try to angle it. So there are some tabs under here. I don't know if you can see them. And they have to be glued on a 90-degree angle. So on this base piece, you can either draw it or score it. There's a line that shows you the 90-degree angle, and you have to line up the tabs with that angle. That's the hard part about it, and it's not related to a Cricut. Let me just say, I always do a ton of prototypes. Let me see. I thought I pulled out some prototypes so I could kind of show you. Yeah, like this was one of my prototypes, and it was a little wonky. You see how the roof doesn't fit? So I would get cardstock in a color you don't use very often. Like I have this kind of purple that I'm not real enthused about. And so I'll use that and make a prototype and practice gluing it down without decorating the house or anything, and just practice so you can see the mechanism, because the mechanism is just a little tricky because you've got movement. But I do, like I said, I do have that book. My book is, I think it's on sale for $21 now with just a ton of designs in it. And some of those houses are like the easel card is basically just glued on a shape, a simple background. Something like that might be an easier, if you want to make houses, a way to go. But it's not really cutting it with a Cricut that's the problem or the challenge. It's gluing it so that it pops up nicely. And the key is prototypes. And I make a ton of prototypes. Probably for this project, I probably made 8 to 10. So I can make sure it works for you. So I've simplified it as much as possible, but you still have to glue things properly for it to pop up well. Do you have a brand of cardstock? It's not so much a brand that I prefer. It's a brand that I have access to. I like using the one at Michael's, and that's why I'm saying I learned the settings. So that's why I use cardstock for intricate settings. I always click more and almost always run it through twice. If I see that it's lifting up, then I don't run it through twice. But yeah, so I just use Recollections from Michael. It's easy for me to get. I've got a store just down the road, so that's what I do. I think, I don't know if they're the sponsor, but I've heard really good things on about 12 by 12 cardstock. And one thing about it is you can order very specific colors and sizes and weights easily. And that's not true when you buy your stuff from Michael's. You usually get a pack with multiple colors in it. And like I said, there's sometimes colors like, I'm never going to use that color. So I think that's a good option, but it was 12 by 12 cardstock, but I generally use Recollections. New designs for Christmas houses. I have something I'm working on for Christmas that's going to be incredible. Yes, I've got, I have an idea, and I'm going to have lots of Christmas houses. I'm going to do it in a different summit. Since Brandy really does cards, it's going to be in a different summit in November, and there'll be a number of designs. And let me show you one thing. Sometimes people are surprised at how small my houses are. Like this one, I think is about 2 inches wide, maybe 3 or 4 inches deep, and maybe with the steeple, like 5 inches tall. I like them small. For one thing, storage is less of a problem, and they're easy to just kind of tuck in a nook. Or if you want a village, you can put a number of small houses together without, taking up all these huge spaces. I've seen some that look like they're 10, 12 inches, and I'm like, they're kind of hard to store. And here's another thing, I usually make mine out of cardboard because I want them to last. This one, if somebody has a toddler in the house, could they destroy it? Yes, but it would be hard because I've got like 5 layers of cardstock here. This is cardboard, and this is just corrugated cardboard, just several layers together. So it's something that's going to be around for a while. This is my castle. I got obsessed with castles, and this is based on a TV show called Escape to the Chateau. And there's a way you can light from the inside. And I had to figure out how to make round turrets with cardboard. It's a little easier with cardstock, but again, not nearly as sturdy. So basically, if you want to make a round structure out of cardboard, spray it with water. So I sprayed it, put it around kind of a toilet paper roll as a mold, and I was able to make round turrets. So I was really excited about that. And this is one of my favorites. And this one's bigger than a lot of the ones. This is Storybook Cottage. And it's, I got the idea for it from a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer children's book. And I'm like, and that's why it's this color. I tried to match the color. It's got a little bit strange, but it's one of my favorites. That's the Storybook Cottage. And the pattern is free in my blog, just like the castle is. So you see. Oh, the most complicated, it would be, I call it the Abandoned Italianate mansion, I think. And then at first, I cut that one out by hand. But later I went back and made a pattern called the Faded Mansion. And initially, I would cut by hand, but I just couldn't do windows. So I bought a lot of Tim Holtz dies. So I would have windows. So I used his windows on my initial houses that I was making, even though I was cutting by hand. But once I learned to use my Cricut, I could design my own windows. And I usually design in Illustrator. I started off in Inkscape, which is free, a little glitchy, but free. And then I learned to use Illustrator, which Cricut likes much better. So I've actually never designed within Cricut, partly because you can't share your designs if they're in, you can't share an SVG like to your mailing list within Cricut Design Space. So I usually do an SVG on Illustrator to design. But the most common, complicated, and really one of my favorites is the Abandoned Italianate Mansion. I like that one a lot. I use, I don't know what it's called, 6x9 envelope for most of these. For some of them, like the little ones, you can just use just a regular envelope or make an envelope. I should actually add that to my book, some options for envelopes. So like this one, this is a prototype just to show you. This is actually when I was just first working on it. So I knew how to make it shorter, but I always make lots of prototypes because that's the only way to figure out how it works. And if you want to make it for other people, you really need to make sure it works. My book is on my website, paperglitterglue.com. There's a section under my little logo, a section that says shop. And I have 3 books in there. I have one for just kind of regular houses. And then I have one for Halloween houses, which are really my favorite. I like Halloween because you can be wonky. So if stuff's like a little bit off, it's okay. And then I have the Playful Pop-Up Houses book. And I have a set of designs, sort of textures and designs that you can some are for stencils, some are for drawing, and some you can cut out. Yes, you can always use a scoring wheel. I just don't want to get up so I can switch them out. No, a scoring wheel works better, and it's deeper. You get a much deeper cut, deeper score. So I think it's fine to use a scoring wheel. When you make lots and lots and lots of stuff, you don't want to have to get up for that. Also, like I said, I usually run it through twice. So that would be 2 changes. But your machine might cut better. Yes, I usually use 65-pound cardstock. Pick an ugly color, like I was trying to find like this purple that actually, let me see if this is prototype. No, that's not a prototype. I actually like this purple. This is in my book. So I made a castle one for one of Brandy's card things that's based on this kind of honeycomb, this triple. And I just think it's so cool. But no, it's like this faded purple. That's what I use. So I try to use it up. Or like I said, just use white for prototypes. The castle in the background, are you talking about the Escape to the Chateau castle? No, it's actually a free pattern. I haven't written the tutorial yet. I got obsessed with castles, and so I was really studying them. If you wait a second, I'll show you the other one. Just a second. I'm coming. So I had a castle making challenge in my group, and I made the pattern, but I haven't written the tutorial yet. And here's another one. Isn't this fun? It's just squares, you know, so I really like it. And again, this is a prototype. I just did it in a gray, and I haven't written that tutorial. And I even figured out a way to make a drawbridge that goes up and down. So anyway, but I will get to that. But the pattern for this castle is under, it's like something like number 142 in my library. And you can look it up under Make a Castle Challenge. So, no, I'm experimenting with the Cricut Joy. I just bought one. I think they're, no, wait, let me see. Size-wise, this will work. You can draw with it. You can cut everything out. The base is probably too big, but it doesn't really need to be that big. See, we can make it, let me see how much shorter we can make it. The base, it would probably stick out, or you can just fold your own cardstock base. So I think you can make the house with it. The question is score lines, and that's what I'm experimenting with. I think you can get the, oh, it's not an engraving tool. It's for foiling. You use the tool for foiling on the Joy, and you just don't tell it it's a score line. You tell it for foiling, and it'll do score lines with the foiling tool. That's what I'm working on, so I can learn to make houses that will fit a Joy. Because, like I said, I like them small. I think they work better and more flexible, and also with the tiny people are like, oh, that's so cool, you know. So yes, so I think there are workarounds, but I haven't really experimented with it yet. I bought my Joy like a week ago. So, all right. If you're talking about the Storybook Cottage, no, it's a freebie on my blog. I don't know the design number, but it's called Storybook Cottage, and you can just go to the search bar on paperglitterglue.com and look up Storybook Cottage. There's a tutorial and a free pattern, so you can do that. It's one of my favorites. I was really happy about that one. If you wait a second, I think I got a few more minutes. Wait, I'll show you something else I did with Storybook Cottage. Okay, here I am back again. Sorry, I didn't know I had so many different things to show you. Okay, this one is my simulated gingerbread. And what I did was I mixed spices with the brown paint. And this is like 2 years old, and it's not strong, but it's like gingerbread. And then I put texture paste in a piping bag, and I piped it so it looks like real gingerbread. And it's like a perpetual gingerbread house that you don't have to worry about, falling apart. In the South, you can't keep them very long, but this one will last. And so I thought it was really cool. But that was one of the variations of the Storybook Cottage. I don't think I wrote about it. I probably should. But anyway, I made up gingerbread paint, mixing together the spices you use for gingerbread. And the ones with the most fragrance, it's really cinnamon. That's the strongest. I think I put cloves and ginger, but those aren't very strong, but the cinnamon is really what makes it. And then it gives it that texture, so it really does kind of look like gingerbread. So that was just one fun variation when I was kind of experimenting. I'm retired now, so I play all the time. But is it printed? On my purple card. I'm not, on this one? No, it's layers. So one is a darker gray and then a lighter. So it's cut out. I didn't draw it. I like texture. I like to be able to feel things. And you can also see, I think I edged it in black with some inks. So yeah, no, it's cut out rather than drawn, which I actually like better. So that's a good question. Okay, so for cards, I finally settled on Barely Art glue. It's relatively easy to get. You have to order it. I get it from Amazon, and I just like the way it works. If you put a lot, and I'm kind of an over gluer, if you put a lot, it'll wrinkle. But if you just do a little bit, it stays nice and flat. Now, for doing heavy duty gluing for my houses, I don't have to go far for this. I was trying to make sure my butt didn't stick in the screen. But anyway, I use one of the tacky glues. This is Fast Grab, and Fast Grab is crazy thick. So, for example, when I was gluing the house to the base, I wanted a really, really strong glue, so I used Fast Grab. But wait, I'm going to get a paper towel and show you just how crazy thick it is. And I'm older, so it kind of hurts my hands to squeeze it out. Wait, it's just, can you kind of see how thick it is? But it holds so tight. Yeah, it's so thick it won't even, I have to store it upside down, and I had not been doing that. But there, look. See, it's not even dropping, but it's crazy thick. So what I did, since this is so thick, I can't even get it to the bottle to reinflate. I kind of switched to a quick dry, and quick dry is thick too. So when I want really strong stuff, like glue, like I said, gluing a house to the base, I'll use tacky glue quick dry. Any other questions? Okay, the cuckoo clock. I needed something, I really need a place to do videos, and I just kind of end up doing it wherever in my house. It is a Cricut project. I did it for Jennifer Maker as a guest post on Jennifer Maker's site. So I think you can go to jennifermaker.com, cuckoo clock. And yeah, I did that project for them a long time ago. So I actually hadn't. Sometimes I learn to do patterns better and better every time I learn stuff. So it may not be the best pattern, but it is there, and you can certainly get the idea. Yeah, I needed something to hang on the wall, so that's why I put my cuckoo clock there. Hey, Ginger, that's a very good question. It's a business for me now. I'm not very successful at it. I actually didn't make any money last year. I have made money a few years, but very little. I am retired, and I think this year I can do better, but I still try to maintain the love of things. So I sort of have these rules, like I'm going to make what I love and hope that other people love it too, rather than just, oh, this is popular now. I mean, I do a little bit of that, but mostly I'm like, I want to make stuff I love. And then I think people appreciate that passion and enthusiasm. And so I think they like my designs, and I feel like I have my people, and I'm like, I want to serve my people. So yes, it's a business, not hugely successful, but it makes me very happy. Any other questions? So I'm trying to think what else I can babble about. Yes, the cuckoo clock design is one of mine, but I was just saying a minute ago, it's from, I did it as a guest post for Jennifer Maker. So go to jennifermaker.com and you can search for cuckoo clock. So the pattern is on her blog. She did that to help promote me. Are there many repeats of pattern? Oh, no, not really. No, the house book is, those are kind of almost what I think of as generic designs. The Halloween book are much more kind of wonky and funky. I guess one design is kind of similar. The first design, I usually start simple and then get them a little more complicated as it goes along, but they're different. But the first one is, pretty much the same kind of shape, which is what I call a gable front house, where the gable's in the front. So I start off with a simple gable front house. And then within the card making, most of those are obviously different. So yeah, so I think the books are different. And I have a house bundle called the Happy Houses Book Bundle. So you can get all three of my books for a much reduced price. I think they're each $21 and the bundle's $57. So it saves you some money. Is there any other questions? I think our time is about up. But I'm really happy to spend this time with you and kind of share what I get excited about. And I love making cards. And now that I've kind of built up a repertoire of cards, I mail them out and people are like, ooh, they always text me back. You mail out a card, but you get a text back, oh, I just love your little card. So that's lots of fun. So I was waiting. Erin is kind of the host and she sort of helps us. I'm trying to see. Oh, she said time to wrap up. Okay. Well, I have enjoyed this time with y'all, and I hope you have fun at the summit, because it's always inspiring to see these creative projects. Okay. I guess I just leave.